man, this sounds so cheesy, but the day I met my wife, probably.
Tell us a little bit about that. Yeah, what were the circumstances? How did you?
Was it the same as the movie?
No, it wasn't like that. It was at a 90s K-pop club, Pangwa Maksa.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But I mean, it was just a good day altogether. Just I remember I went to dinner with some hyungs. We went and got samgyeopsal. I remember the place in Karasugur. And yeah, it was my first time going to a place like that. Like it's a club, but you can go people in like business suits.
Over in Gangnam-yeok, right?
Yeah.
When that
just a cool
when
place,
that place was first popping, that was the place to be.
Pamsa.
Yeah.
And so everyone there is everyone's just in their 30s probably and older. It's just a really cool place. And it was one of the situations where I was the guy. There was the 4 girls and they were all 3 of them were cock blockers, and then it was me. Like it just worked out, you know. And given the little that I spoke in Korean, I couldn't believe that we were, you know, I got to keep talking to her.
Were you the envoy that they sent over?
No. Actually, it was somebody else, a hyung who was married. He went over.
Oh, it's good to have a guy like that.
Yeah. So the married guy was the wingman.
Nice.
Cool. And it just, everything fell into place.
Now, I know you've asked your wife about this like later on.
Yeah.
Right? What was her first impression when she saw you?
Well, he went over to her and like, was like, hey, what do you think of that guy over there?
About you?
Yeah, because he went over there.
See, you didn't go for like the girl that wasn't. You went for what you wanted.
Yeah.
So he knew that you had your eye on her, so he went over?
This was crazy because it was literally, there was one spotlight at the time and it was on her. And I was just pointing out, hey, look at that. There's a light on just one girl, right? And it happened to be her. It's just like, isn't that weird? Like, and she happened to be cute. And he was like, hey, go over and talk to her. I was like, no, that's not my style. I don't like, I always sit in the corner and just like fantasize. But like,
that's me too. I'd rather live with regret for the rest of my life.
I have so much admiration for people who are just able to because I could never do it. Never fucking do that. Just walk up to someone and talk to them. I can't. That's one thing that I just can't do.
You can't do it?
Even
after a few
if someone
drinks?
if we go and I go with a partner and the partner does most of the initial talking, then I'm fine. I'm fine.
I'm great in that situation.
Yeah, I'm great in that. But being that first person, hey, how are you guys doing? Blah, 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 you know, like
I've been seriously brutally rejected so many. Like I don't mind doing it. I've been brutally rejected so many times, especially in Korea, where this is the home of brutal rejections. So in America, you don't get brutal. You get let down easy. In America, they're like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm with my friends, and they're like, oh, okay, cool, no problem, like, hey, no worries. But in Korea, it's just like in a club where it's loud, they'll just do. It's a whole thing that
it's stink eye too,
and everybody knows you got rejected. And they're like, look at that big tall wiggle.
So if she does this, you just got to dance with her like that.
That's what she did actually. When
she did that,
she looked over and she was like, no, thank you. And then
isn't that brutal?
But I went over just to apologize because I didn't, you know.
That's smooth, man. That's smooth.
In my broken Korean, I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. My hyung is a little drunk and, you know, we didn't mean to ruin your night. And then from her perspective, she told me, oh, this guy, his Korean's really bad. And he's like really being, he just seemed harmless.
Yeah.
That's what she said. So she was like, oh, he seems harmless. And she let me,
little did she know.
Talk. And I don't know.
So she said, don't want you to sit down, or how did that turn out?
I sat down with them at the table, and her girlfriends, it was like every few minutes that they would get a look. I could see them looking at like, get rid of him. But she was just like it worked out. Everything worked out.
And Benji's born, and Benji is 16 months old now. But
we actually we were dancing right to old school stuff, and you know how every like 10th song or like 8th song is like a slow song. We actually stayed on. We stayed on the dance floor and there maybe 1 or 2 couples.
You guys have a focal point at that point.
Well, how much have you had to drink and how much he had to drink? It's hard to stay when everyone's watching you on the slope.
I mean, that place you can only drink soju and beer. Yeah, that's all. They don't have any.
Were you feeling it like at that moment?
It was. I was feeling good. We had some soju at the
Was it the perfect mix of sur and feelings?
Yeah. It was, everything was
Those are
perfect.
great moments.
Like, and then at one point I went back. I said I could just go check on my youngs, right? And then I went to look for them. They had all left. They're all married and have kids. And I texted them, "Oh, where'd you go?" And they all went home. They said, "You got seemed like you were doing well," so they all left. And
those are
so
good.
I went
youngs.
back to the table and I said, "Oh, they all left. So I think maybe I should leave." But she's like, "No, stay with us."
Yo, those are good youngs.
Yeah.
Those are
눈치가
있어.
Maybe they went somewhere else.
Yeah, probably most likely.
They went to that other place around Sandrin.
I had never done so well, before. So I knew I had to be the first to go and just say, I should get going, let you guys have. So she actually walked me up half the stairs to walk me out. Because I didn't want to
You
be
wanted
there
to
the
stay
whole
longer,
night,
but you wanted to be like
smart stuff. So I was like, should play it cool.
Yeah.
We got each other's
You left her
numbers
wanting more.
less is more.
So and so I was gonna do the whole thing, like a call her maybe in 3 days as swingers, the
Swingers.
So,
Put it on the calendar.
Yeah, 3 days after,
Yeah.
3 days or.
and then the next morning, around like 11 a.m., I got a text from her saying, "Hey, cause she works on the weekends too, on Saturdays. So she's like, "Hey, my work got canceled. Do you want to go watch a movie?" And I was like, so she hit me up, and then I was like, I remember thinking, hey, 방과 음악사 is pretty dark, and really, you can't
You want
really
to see exactly
tell
how she looks.
So I was a little nervous that maybe I was had too much to drink, maybe it was too dark in there. I remember
Guys can relate. Girls can relate. Everyone can relate.
Yeah.
We met at Apgujeong CGV, and I remember just please let her be just as beautiful as the night before. Turned the corner, I was like, yes, I think this is the one. And
Yes. That's a nice touch.
and then so our first date was we watched the movie there, and then we went to go get chokbar. She suggested, "Hey, do you like chokbar?" Right, and that's not like a first. It's like pig's feet for your first date, and that's when I really knew. I was like, "This girl is awesome."
And she didn't mind
She didn't want steak or something that I couldn't afford, and
she didn't mind your panjia too. You were saying that before.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah,
That was later,
just
though.
Yeah, that was later.
Yeah.
Or maybe it would have been. It might have been the.
Oh yeah.
Well, we don't want to get into that.
But yeah, dude.
And then 9 years later, we come back to watch our movie there. The movie about our
At the same theater?
yes.
That's the one that night when we went.
It's
That day when we
special,
went.
This is such a great
Yeah.
story.
This is so awesome. Yeah.
So I think I'd relive that first day again. It was everything was perfect. All the stars were aligned. The guy that doesn't have any game was getting through every obstacle. Everyone had a hand in it, of course. Even her, So I was just definitely would live that day. It was
Meant to be.
pretty
It's
cool.
like when Mikey on Swingers finally met the girl,
Heather Graham.
Heather Graham's character. Yeah.